Greetings, shadow seekers. Not every light in the world shines to guide you. Some are flames that burn, consuming everything they touch. Today we step into the darker corridors of human nature, guided by the insights of Carl Jung, the legendary psychologist who understood not only the brilliance of the human mind, but also its most destructive shadows. If you're drawn to the mysteries of psychology and you want to learn how to protect yourself from people who can quietly poison your life, make sure you subscribe and leave a like. This way, you'll never miss another deep dive into the unseen forces that shape us. Jung believed that danger doesn't always come dressed as an enemy. Sometimes it wears the smile of a friend, the charm of a lover, or the wisdom of a mentor. The most dangerous people are not necessarily the ones holding knives in the dark, but those who manipulate, deceive, and corrode from the inside. And that's where our journey begins. The first type of person Jung warned us about is the eternal victim. You know them. Those who, no matter what happens, always see themselves as powerless, mistreated, and broken by life's cruelty. On the surface, they might appear harmless, even sympathetic. They invite your pity, your compassion, your protection. But here lies the trap. When you constantly pour your energy into saving someone who refuses to stand on their own feet, you eventually drain yourself dry. Imagine a ship at sea, carrying precious cargo. You notice another vessel nearby, leaking, calling desperately for help. You rush to rescue, throwing ropes, supplies, even part of your own cargo overboard. But no matter how much you give, their ship keeps sinking because they never try to repair it. In the end, not only do they go under, but they pull you down with them. That's the power of the professional victim. They demand your strength, but never build their own. And here's the sinister twist. Many of them are not even aware of the damage they cause. They believe they are simply unlucky, misunderstood, or cursed by fate. Yet behind their helplessness hides an unconscious manipulation. By keeping you in the role of savior, they keep themselves in the role of victim. And in this endless dance, you lose your energy, your time, and even your sense of self. The second dangerous type Jung pointed out is the manipulator cloaked in charm. These are the people who can walk into a room and instantly make everyone feel seen, valued, even special. Their presence is magnetic, their words are smooth, and their smile feels like sunlight on a cold day. But don't be fooled. This brightness hides a shadow. Charm, when used honestly, can inspire and uplift. But in the hands of a manipulator, it becomes a weapon sharper than any blade. They know exactly what to say to gain your trust. And once you're hooked, they begin to pull strings you didn't even know existed. Think of them as puppeteers. You're on stage, believing you're dancing freely, when in reality, invisible threads guide your every step. Maybe it's the coworker who flatters you just enough to get you to cover their responsibilities, or the partner who makes you feel guilty for asking for basic respect. They don't push you with force. They lead you with velvet gloves. And that's what makes them so dangerous. You don't notice the cage being built until the door clicks shut. Here's the unsettling truth. Manipulators often study people like predators studying prey. They notice your insecurities, your needs, your secret desires. They'll praise you where you're weak, agree with you where you crave validation, and little by little, they weave a net around you. By the time you realize what's happening, your emotions are entangled, your decisions influenced, and your boundaries blurred. History is filled with examples of such figures. Cult leaders, for instance, rarely rise to power through violence at first. They rise through words, smiles, and promises that resonate deeply with the lost or the vulnerable. And once their charm has taken root, they can lead people into chaos, destruction, even death. On a smaller scale, the manipulator in your own life may never start a cult, but they can still lead you into emotional ruin if you don't learn to see past their mask. The third dangerous person Jung warns us about is the one consumed by envy. Unlike the manipulator, they may not wear a dazzling mask, but their power is just as destructive. These individuals cannot celebrate your victories because your success feels like their failure. And so, instead of building themselves, they dedicate their energies into quietly tearing you down. Envy doesn't always show itself in obvious ways. Sometimes it hides behind backhanded compliments, subtle sabotage, or smile that doesn't quite reach the eyes. Picture this. You share good news with someone. A promotion, a relationship, a creative achievement. They smile and say, "Wow, that's great for you," but you feel an undercurrent of bitterness in their tone. That's envy whispering through their teeth. The danger lies in how persistent envy can be. Unlike anger, which burns hot and fades, envy festers like a slow poison. The envious person doesn't need to strike directly. They erode your confidence over time. They might plant seeds of doubt, downplay your progress, or spread subtle rumors that weaken the way others see you. In their eyes, your light makes their shadow deeper, and the only way they feel relief is by dimming you. Jung understood envy as more than just a bad feeling. It's a shadow force, an unacknowledged part of the psyche that, when left unchecked, corrupts the person from within. And here's the frightening part. Envy isn't always loud. It can sit quietly in the background, watching, waiting, pretending to be your friend, while secretly longing for your downfall. Think of Cain and Abel, one of humanity's oldest stories. Cain couldn't bear the sight of his brother being favored, and that envy turned into rage, then into destruction. In everyday life, it might not end in violence, but the cycle is the same. Envy transforms admiration into resentment, and resentment into harm. If you allow such people too close, you risk becoming a target of their silent war. The fourth type of dangerous person Jung described is the eternal controller, the one who cannot breathe unless they are pulling every string around them. Unlike the manipulator who hides behind charm, the controller operates with authority, demands, and an obsession with order. They don't simply want to influence your choices. They want to own them. Controllers are everywhere. The boss who micromanages every detail until creativity suffocates. The partner who dictates who you can see and what you can do. The parent who insists on deciding your future long after you've grown. Their weapon is not seduction, but domination, and the damage they cause is often invisible because it works from the inside out. Imagine you're a bird in a cage. At first, the cage feels protective. The bars are painted with promises. I know what's best for you. I'm only keeping you safe. Trust me, I see farther than you do. But little by little, you realize you're no longer free to fly, and worse, you've forgotten that you even could. That's the cruel genius of a controller. They reshape your reality so that submission feels natural, even necessary. What makes this type especially dangerous is how they justify their grip. They often believe they are acting for your good. A controlling friend might say, "I'm just protecting you from making mistakes." A controlling partner might say, "I'm only jealous because I love you." Their rules and restrictions are disguised as care, but true care empowers, while control enslaves. Jung saw this as the shadow of power, the refusal to face one's own fear of chaos, projected outward by imprisoning others, and it can be intoxicating, both for them and for you. There is a twisted comfort in surrendering your choices to someone else, in letting them bear the burden of decisions. But this comfort has a price: your identity. The longer you stay under their rule, the more your will withers. And here's the chilling part. Once a controller senses they are losing their grip, they rarely let go quietly. They may escalate, becoming harsher, colder, even crueler, in an attempt to reclaim the power slipping from their hands. For them, control is not a habit, it's survival. And if you stand in their way, you become the enemy. The fifth dangerous person Carl Jung spoke of is the deceiver, the liar who bends reality, not just with words, but with entire illusions. Unlike the envious or the controlling, the deceiver thrives in shadows, weaving stories that distort truth until you no longer know what to believe. What makes them lethal is not just the lies they tell you, but the way they rewrite your perception of the world. They don't simply hide facts. They create alternate realities. A deceiver might assure you of loyalty while cultivating betrayals behind your back. They might claim to protect you while leading you into traps of their own design. To them, truth is not a principle. It's a tool to be twisted, broken, or discarded whenever it suits their purpose. Imagine walking through a hall of mirrors. At first, you laugh at the distortions, taller here, wider there. But after enough turns, you begin to lose track of what's real. That's the effect of the deceiver. They tell you half-truths. They omit details. They exaggerate just enough to shift your understanding. Slowly, you no longer trust your own judgment. And once that happens, you're theirs to control. This archetype has haunted humanity for centuries. Tricksters in mythology, like Loki in Norse legends, were not just playful. They sowed chaos by breaking trust. And in real life, deceivers operate with the same cunning. They might not be gods of mischief, but in their personal worlds, they hold the same destructive power. Here's the sinister beauty of deception. It doesn't always come dressed as malice. Sometimes it comes as comfort. The person who tells you what you want to hear, instead of what's true. The friend who hides a betrayal with a gentle smile. The partner who insists everything is fine, while their actions scream otherwise. Lies are seductive because they protect us from painful truths, but that protection is a trap. And Jung would remind us of this. To live in someone else's lie is to abandon your own reality. The longer you stay entangled in their illusions, the more you lose your sense of self. That loss is not sudden. It's gradual, like sand slipping through your fingers, until one day you realize you're standing in a desert of confusion, parched and alone. The sixth and final dangerous person Jung warned us about is the one consumed by narcissism. The individual who worships their own reflection and demands that everyone else do the same. Unlike the victim, who drains you with weakness, or the controller, who binds you with rules, the narcissist captures you with the gravity of their ego, pulling you into their orbit until your world revolves around them. Narcissists are masters of self-glorification. They exaggerate their achievements, demand admiration, and cannot tolerate criticism. At first, they may impress you with confidence, with their boldness, with what looks like unstoppable self-assurance. But this is only the mask. Behind it lies a fragile self that cannot survive without constant validation. And to keep themselves fed, they use you as the mirror that reflects their imagined greatness. The danger is subtle. Being near them feels intoxicating at first. They may make you feel chosen, special, as if standing beside them elevates you. But as time goes on, you begin to notice the cracks. Your needs are dismissed, your voice drowned out, your achievements overshadowed. They don't want a partner, a friend, or an equal. They want an audience, and if you stop applauding, they will turn on you. Think of Narcissus from Greek mythology, staring endlessly into the water, so in love with his reflection that he lost touch with the real world. A modern narcissist repeats this story, but drags others into the water with them. To love them, to befriend them, to work with them, is to risk drowning in their obsession with self. Jung's insight into these archetypes was not just a warning, but a revelation. The most dangerous people are often the ones we allow closest to us. They don't storm into our lives as obvious villains. They slip in as victims, charmers, controllers, deceivers, envious friends, or narcissistic lovers. And slowly they reshape our reality until we forget the strength we once had. But here is the truth you need to carry. Recognizing them is your shield. Awareness is power. Once you learn to see these patterns, you cannot be so easily caught in them again. You can reclaim your energy, your freedom, and your voice. And now, I want to leave you with a challenge. Look around you. Think of the people in your life who lifts you higher and who quietly drags you into the shadows. The answer may not always be comfortable, but it may save you years of hidden suffering. If this exploration opened your eyes, if you felt even a flicker of recognition as we uncovered these 6 dangerous types, then don't let the journey stop here. Hit the like button, subscribe to this channel, and join this growing community where we illuminate the darkest corners of human psychology together. Because the shadows are not to be feared, they are to be understood. And once you understand them, no one can control you again.